So there's an 8mm film of Uncle Bob driving a car on the tennis court. What kind of car was it, and was it street legal?
It was a Fiat 500. I think they called it the Mouse, although I never heard that till much later.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pre-war Italian car.
Okay.
It was hard to get parts since Italy was on the other side of the war. So we ran it for a while until we couldn't do it anymore, and then sold it to a guy that had the same kind of car so that he could use the two of them and make one that would still work. They were street legal. It was a neat little thing.
That's amazing.
After that, we had a Austin. It had been an Austin truck, I think. Somebody cut the back off, the top off the back of the truck, and it was kind of the shape of a Jeep, about half the size. We ran that down during the war, down at the shore. The thing was so small and light that if you ran out of gas, you just opened the door and worked it like a scooter to get home, because everything was so flat you could do that.
Right.
Perhaps the single largest mortal influence on Lester, starting in late high school, was his dear Grace.
My mother used to tease my dad about his friendship and say that, you know, Lester's saving grace was his wife. And it was because she was such a wonderfully kind human being.
Through all of college, Lester's heart was in Pittsburgh. When his new wife desired to live in Bernathen, Lester adjusted course. Lester was loud, at times outspoken, and a consummate teaser. Grace was in many ways his opposite. Grace knew how to quickly bring her lessee back to reality. With a quick look or quiet exclamation, Lester knew where he stood with his beloved.
Well, she was a really down-to-earth person, and she did keep him anchored, and she didn't put up with any guff. She just didn't react when he teased her. She was just a nice, everyday sort of person.
The big-time mover and shaker in the business world had more than his match waiting for him at home. Grace quietly distinguished herself as the chief chairwoman in charge of the home front. Grace knew what she wanted. Her quiet, thoughtful leadership added balance to the couple, an attribute Lester greatly respected and deferred to regularly. Bishop King perhaps best summed up Grace with the following. Grace quietly distinguished herself as a strong, modest, sweet-dispositioned lady. Lester's early years were marked by tragedy and severe poverty. His mother and oldest brothers made huge sacrifices to allow the family to survive and thrive. His mother's strictness, demand for order, and installation of a strong work ethic served Lester well. His willingness to work and desire for others to approach things in a logical, orderly fashion permeated his life, first highly evident as the president of the Sigma Delta Pi, and later as a key director of the Osblond Tree Expert Company. Lester was a fair man who greatly appreciated those who came prepared with their homework done, pencils sharpened, and excuses checked at the door.
He wanted things done the right way. He didn't care how long it took.
Okay.
But it had to be right.
Okay.
Now, if you did something and he didn't like it, he'd let you know.
He was a tough inquisitor who could not be pushed around, but deep down, he had a big heart. Beyond family, his benefactions included his church and beloved academy. The athletics program at ANC afforded Lester a mechanism to not only develop certain talents, but also attain a college education. To Lester, athletics was a fundamental aspect of his education and a key avenue for the academy and the new church to influence lives. Lester was an avid spectator, known to voice his opinion when the Spirit moved him. Known to also be a needler, at times various coaches, administrators, and even students were never certain of the level of seriousness in his ribbing. The summer 1984 issue of Osblond Tree summed him as follows. Lester Osblond was a unique man. He was a businessman, an inventor, an athlete, a philanthropist, a churchman, and a family man. He gave his full energies to each, achieving success in all, while always maintaining a keen awareness of people. Grace was his perfect complement. Together they raised a strong, loving family and provided inspiring role models for future generations.
So there you have just a brief snapshot of Lester and Grace's full, long lives, as you have seen and may very well remember them as they were, happy in love and content in life. Having shaped the world with both their individual and joint personalities, their dynamic yet balanced adoration for each other remains unbroken, even now.
Well, I can say that the whole Osplin family, to me, was very, very nice people.